Alright, so since last time I did a little bit of looking into this motor, I did pull one of the rods and pistons out of it. This motor was put together by, I don't know if it was a person that just didn't know what they were doing, if it was an accident. Obviously they checked nothing when they put this motor together. So the pistons are for a 350 with 5.7 rods and the 400 crank to make it a 383. Problem is, this motor has a 400 crank with 5.56 rods, which are your factory 400 small block rods. That does not do well in these engines. I'm going to move the camera here in a second and show you just how far down in the hole these pistons are. The compression this thing was running was right at 6-to-1, maybe. It was pretty bad. Alright, so we're going to check two things here. The first thing we're going to check is just how far the piston is down inside of the cylinder. It makes a big difference for your compression as to how far this sets down inside of the cylinder. So the first thing we'll do is I just take a little brake clean and go over this area, and then you take your caliper, turn it on, make sure it's zeroed out. There we go. These 5.56 rods have such a narrow gap. So here's flat. So we're at 0 right here. This is, we're roughly 160 thousandths in the hole, which is a lot. I mean, you're looking for 30 to 40 thousandths is a decent average that you're going to see. So 160 is excessive, quite excessive, and it's just not right. So the other thing we're going to check is, because we know this is basically at the top of the travel, and we'll go ahead and check this just to be sure that, okay, going down. There, looks like it just barely stopped. We'll check the stroke on this. Here's a nice clean side. We'll make a mark. See this mark here? That's how far down the piston is in the hole. Now we'll run this from top down to the bottom as far as it'll go, and we will mark it again. So now we have our two marks. Top, bottom, measure the distance in the middle of it. A 400 crank is 3 inches, 750 thousandths. So, our marks are here. Just to check and make sure that's the right stroke crank. 373.2, that's pretty close to 375. So, we know it's 400 crank, and it's externally balanced too. So, what we'll do next is I'll roll this thing over, show you how to take a rod and piston out of this thing. Once that's done, I'm going to go ahead and just take all the rest of them out off camera, because you don't need to sit and watch me do that. Alright guys, so all I've done is break these loose. Spin these off. Once these are off, well, that one actually popped right off. Normally you have to just tap these real lightly to get that cap to come off. This one really just fell right off. Bearings don't look awful. Nothing's worn through. Crank looks really good, which is good. That way, whenever we have this thing taken to the machine shop with our new rods and pistons, it's gonna polish out real nice. So these are hardened. If these threads hit this, you're gonna leave little notches and grooves inside of it, which you definitely do not want to do. They make special tools, journal protectors, that you can slide over here and they can push right out. What I've done for a lot of years is just take gas line, just 3/8 fuel line, and slide it over the top of them. That way, nothing is going to get hit coming out on your crank, so your crank's going to stay protected. You can take and use the fuel line to help push that piston. Once that's done, you have your piston out. Just continue that 6 more times, and these will all be out. So I think we're going to still use this crank again. Not 100% sure. We're going to keep tearing this thing down, but next I'm going to show you how to take off your harmonic balancer. I didn't show you taking off the oil pump. It was one bolt and it just pops off. We get this taken off and continue on. So first things first, we have to pull the water pump off before we can get to, it makes it easier to pull the balancer off. Then we can get to our timing corner and timing plate cover. We have to get this off, this bolt out, and then pull this whole balancer off. So I'll get something a little heavier than the normal one there. This is just your standard cheap harmonic balancer puller. It does the job. You don't need to buy a super expensive one. This is going to pull this without any difficulty. And just another tool that you have to have if you're going to be doing this sort of work. Once that's on there, you just run this through. There's oil on here. I need to dab a little bit more on. You will prolong the life of your tools. And see, this is why we have that plastic below, because if something falls on the ground, doesn't matter. It's getting thrown away anyway. Alright. So now once you get this all sucked up and tightened down here, just take your wrench. These sometimes are stuck on very hard. If they are, you find something to block your counterweights. We'll see how tight this one is. Yeah, this one's not too bad. Okay. So now that that's off. Alright, so here is timing cover. 7/16 bolts will hold this thing on. And these should not be tight at all. So it does have a double roller timing chain on it. Someone did fill up there's 3 ports back here. We'll show you here in just a second for the oil galleries. They did plug those off with pipe plugs, so that's good. Alright, let's keep getting torn apart. this is our timing set. It's comprised of this and this gear right here. We're going to continue getting everything kind of cleaned up. Pull the cam out of this thing, check that out, and keep on going. Alright, so now we'll just break these mains loose. Alright, so once you have these out, you can see the difference in the bolts here. We will set up another spot on our bench to transfer these over to, so everything stays clean, orderly. On all of these caps, they're marked. This one obviously is the front. The other one has to go in the back. There's no way to mismatch any of these. On these have marks on them as well from the last time it was machined. So there's 2 dimples, 3 dimples, 4 dimples. So I know it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's how we're gonna keep them in order. Alright, one of the last things to do is to pull this crankshaft out. We got to take care of this piece for the oil filter too. But be gentle when you take this out and be careful where you store it. Because the last thing you want is for this to fall over and to have any issues. And this is your basic small block after it's all been taken apart, put back, well, taken apart in a way. We'll take this out and then start cleaning it. Alright guys, basically that is it. That's the teardown of this small block. We found a lot of things inside of it that don't really jive. I don't like, but as of now, it's all torn apart. We're gonna get this thing cleaned up. I will clean this thing probably 1.5, 2 dozen times. I am big into keeping everything extremely clean because we're going to be grinding on this block. We're going to be changing a lot when it comes down to it. So because it was never clearance to begin with, and you have to have clearance on these things. So I will let you go for now. I'm going to spend the next several hours cleaning this, and check back in with you later.